Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. I'm Joe Leigh, joined by Fuad today, the community manager for Esports BOXING CLUB, a game that's been in the making for a long time. And next month, actually, is the 10-year anniversary for Fight Night Champions. So a boxing game on Xbox, PlayStation is a long time in the making. 1st of March 2011 is when Fight Night Champion came out. And yeah, of course, here to talk to me about Esports BOXING CLUB today, Fuad. How are you, man?
Yeah, man, it's been a minute since we spoke. I think we saw each other like end of last year, so it's been a long time. So yeah, man, but I'm all good. I'm all good. Thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, as the community manager, obviously, I've got a list of questions today that I'm going to ask you about the new game. First of all, obviously, talking about Fight Night, has there been any sort of inspiration from that? Have you taken any notes from that game, and are you going to use that for this game, which is hopefully going to be coming out this year?
Talking about inspiration, like we admire, like we proper like respect what the Fight Night series did. They defo set a standard for boxing games, and it kind of stopped like the AAA studios to even like attempt to do anything similar at that time. And that's just like I guess you could say a testament to the developers of that franchise. But our inspirations come from various different places, like Amiga, Konami, From Software, 4D Sports Boxing. So yeah, that's what we take a lot of inspiration from. But you got to give the respect to EA and the Fight Night series. It had people hooked even to this day.
And before we get into the more technical parts of the game, I just want to ask how difficult it's actually been to get to this point. Obviously, the game's been delayed a little bit. With COVID, there's been problems that you've obviously had to encounter. What's it been like getting to the point you're at now where you're slowly releasing more and more trailers?
Yeah, COVID itself kind of, for everyone, not just for us. I think it doesn't really have to even be answered. Really, you see everyone in daily life kind of struggling and getting held back. But for us, of course, there's been many sort of roadblocks, such as like getting fighters in to get them scanned.
Yeah.
Just different ones that we had. But you know what, the studio is filled with inspired and motivated people, and we're just determined to put boxing back on the gaming map because it's been way too long. So COVID can try, but we're still out here working.
Nice. So one thing that I feel like is important for gamers, obviously you see it with PES and FIFA. You see on FIFA, you see the Tottenham, the Arsenals. On PES, you see the North London Reds, the not the licensing, the proper licensing. So I want to ask you, what licensing will there be? Are we going to see the WBC belts, and all the correct licensing as well? We're going to see matchroom boxing, things like that. What sort of licensing have you agreed as of today?
So yeah, licensing is I think one of the biggest sort of factors in a boxing game, because if you look at it, I think we know better than anyone, being involved in the boxing world, away from gaming, you know how hard it is to get certain fights done, to get certain things done. So when a boxing game was always talked about, it's always going to be a challenge. But thankfully for us, we've worked our way to where we are. We've licensed the WBC belts from the amateurs to the youth world championship, silver, international. We've got the IBF involved, the Lonsdale belt, the Ring magazine, and there's other announcements to be made and other agreements in place right now that we'll announce in the near future. But I think one of the biggest aspects that is going to bring the boxing fans in is the amount of licensing we've got, and that's just the organizations. I mean, the fighters is obviously one thing that was going to be hard regardless, because under, I guess if you look at all the sports like football, they're under the Premier League, all under one banner, you could say, almost. Whereas for boxing, there's different people in different organizations and whatnot. But yeah, it's been a journey, but we're getting there. And like I just mentioned, some of the biggest brands involved in the game: WBC, IBF, Ring magazine, and yeah, all those guys are involved.
That's great, and it is similar to, in a weird way, it's similar to the politics in boxing in the real world, trying to get the licensing in the games as well, which is funny. But talking on the licensing and the people you're going to be able to have in the game, obviously in Fight Night, Floyd Mayweather, I think money issues that he wasn't even in the game. Are we going to see like high level fighters in this game? Who are we going to see? I know in the trailer we've seen Warrington, Kid Galahad. You were speaking to Dave Caldwell. He was talking about, I believe, Hobie Price is going to be in there. I assume Jordan Gill as well.
Yeah.
What level of fighters are we going to see? Are we going to see a broad variety of professional boxers?
100%. I think you can't just release a boxing game and not have everyone involved. So we go from the guys who are still early in their debut, like Hope, who's a fantastic talent, by the way, fighting this weekend, and Jordan and whatnot, and we go right to the legends. We've already got the likes of Arturo Gatti involved. We got a legend of today, Josh Taylor involved. Unified champion Joe Frazier's in there.
We're going
But
to
I've
see
got an
legends as
exclusive
well.
for you, actually.
Okay, exclusive
Yeah,
first.
yeah, that's what I was just getting into that. This is an exclusive. So we've got the legendary Joe Louis in the game as well as part of our Legends roster. And he just adds on to another addition to the Legends that we do have already. So it's the biggest boxing game that there's been, to be honest with you. And if you look at the fighters that we've got and the licensing, like we just mentioned, it's like people are reaching out to us almost on a daily basis. So yeah, Joe Louis is in the game. That's an exclusive for you guys. And if you just check out our roster right now, there's around 64 boxes already on there, and it's just growing every day. We're in talks to continually grow that.
Yeah, and as it's been so long as well, I can imagine quite a few boxers will want to be in the game just out of enjoyment of and wanting to play with their own characters and things like that. And talking about playing with your own characters, I've seen the character customization videos. I assume there's going to be career modes. Talk to me through the game modes that you have in the works at the moment.
Yeah, so obviously the game modes are pretty interesting. There's going to be the single player career mode, which is just going to be phenomenal.
I'm a career mode guy.
Yeah, of course. I think everyone is. I think you can't go on a sporting game. I think, you grow up as a kid, you want to be a boxer or a footballer or whatever. You want to be a sportsman. So if you don't, make it sometimes, everyone goes a different career route. You do end up playing the career mode. And that's why for a sports game, if anything, and it's always key to have the career mode in. The career mode is looking, fantastic, and I'm sure the guys will find out in the future how it looks. We've also got the online mode, so you can play against each other. And we're looking at, I think, the biggest differentiation between us. If you look at the beginning of our name, Esports BOXING CLUB, where there will be officially licensed tournaments. We're in talks with like all the major players right now. So esports is huge. It's huge. It's becoming bigger and bigger every day. So that's going to be a major part of the game. And yeah, I can't wait.
And I think to compare it to FIFA to help people sort of understand what you mean by that, 5-6 years ago, FIFA was just career mode Ultimate Team and there wasn't as much money in it. But now the amount of money that's pumped into Ultimate Team for these tournaments, these professional players, people do this for their job, big sponsorships as well, things like that. This could really take off, considering there hasn't been a boxing game in so long as well. In Fight Night Champion, sorry to keep comparing it, but obviously it's the last one we've got. So it's sort of like a foundation for the questions we have to ask. But there's online champions, so I could go online today and it could say the lightweight champion is online. Or is it just tournaments you're thinking of in terms of competitiveness?
So do you mean like if there's a certain champion that you can play across platform or
so
what exactly?
On Xbox for Fight Night Champion, there is, say for example, Joe Leigh. I'm online and it will say Joe Leigh, the current lightweight champion, is online. So I can play as anyone in the lightweight division, and I am the world lightweight champion for Fight Night Champion. So have you got that sort of framework in place, or is it more based on tournaments and things like that?
That's something that could possibly be featured, and it's not something we've really dissected into. Yeah, it's not something we've dissected into completely, because the focus right now for fresh boxing game is getting the things that people really want straight away from the cuff, right? Career mode being the biggest one, and like the esports thing will come along. But this game, the thing about this game is it's a continually developing game. So you're going to see numerous different features added in over time. It's not just a one stop and go arcade boxing game that we're throwing out there. It's a big boxing game, massive project. So stuff like that will be explained in the future, I guess. But right now we're looking at early access, and these are the things that we're putting all our efforts and concentrations on.
Venues, something I want to ask you about. Are we going to have the official licensing? Are we going to see the big arenas in this game?
Yeah, so again, another part of the game that has to be implemented correctly. There's realistic venues from like the gyms, arenas, outdoor arenas from all around the world. And we've got some really interesting ones in there as well. So I can't wait till the fans get their hands on that and they can play in these realistic venues.
That's good. That's always something you need in these big games. And also the gameplay trailer. A lot of people, having looking at the comments, have wanted to see that for a while now. When can you give us a time scale of when those gameplay trailers can be released so we can get a bigger insight on the game?
It's the $1 million question at the moment, isn't it? We're gonna release one prior to launch, definitely. But all our resources and concentration at the moment is going into, you know, making the game essentially. You know, we've got the major licensing, we've got the, you know, character creator, which is looking fantastic. Our focus as a studio is to put all the concentration into literally develop the next gen game. That's literally the main thing. I know there's a gap in the market. We can see that definitely, and it answers the fact that there's a huge demand for it. So I can understand the anticipation of fans. They waited a very long time for a boxing game, a trailer prior to launch, and we'll be actually announcing some news about early access plans at the end of this month. So make sure to stay tuned, guys. You'll get some more news on that.
Couple more questions then. First of all, do we have a time scale of when this could be released? Early 2021, late 2021, summertime?
Yeah, so early access, we're looking at Q1 within the next few months where we're looking to launch. We haven't officially released a date, but the whole goal, and everyone in the company knows what the idea and the goal is, and the goal is to release the game Q1 of this year, and that's within the next few months. So early access, that is, will be available in the next few months. Date to be confirmed.
One more thing, just the price. Do you have an estimate on what that could be for the people wondering as well?
Say that again. You cut off there.
The price. Have you got a price tag on
it? Yeah. Okay, no, yeah. Well, the price hasn't been finalized. We're still in talks with like various licenses, and we can confirm it will be a premium priced game. So the early access will be obviously our reduced price, and then once the full access is released, it'll be a different price. Full game, I should say, even.
Where we have it, 10 years after the last official boxing game, we finally have another one to be released this year. Very, very soon, it looks like. Trailers, yeah, guys, a couple months down the line, we'll start to see everything roll out. And yeah, I'm honestly really excited. Thanks for your time, bro. And as a community manager, I got to say, you're doing a really good job in promoting it and everything. And there's a lot of hype behind it as well. So whenever this stuff starts getting rolled out, you know, trailers and things, I'm sure we can catch up again.
100% will do that. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.